Let's discuss my early 1880s wardrobe. Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin. I'm a living historian who educates other living historians by teaching old-fashioned sewing skills and copying original garments. We've been working through a series every couple of months, going through my living history wardrobe. Well, I've been going through it, and then deciding what I need to add for any gaps that I have, and also what I have excess of and could perhaps sell or give away to someone else who needed them because I have so many of a particular thing. This will actually be our last video in the series because we've basically gone through most of the 19th century. 1820s to 1880s is the vast majority of what I do. Yes, I have like twice done Regency, and I do some 20th century, like once or twice a year, and we're getting into 18th century, but none of that has been to the point where I need to go through a wardrobe because I just have a little bit of, I only have a few clothes for those particular time periods. Some of them I don't even have complete outfits, but I have lists because we're just starting that time period. And so I don't think we need to go through any of that. What I needed to do was go through my 19th century wardrobe, which we've done. And really what I found very helpful with this is all this ends in my little Excel spreadsheet that has everything listed out by era, and it's super helpful when I have, say, an 1885 event. I can go to that section and I can pull exactly what I need without having to use any brain power whatsoever. It's just, these are the appropriate dresses. All right, here's the weather. All right, this is what's going to be appropriate, and I don't have to think about it. It's great. It has been immensely helpful. A lot of the things we have made on the channel as well, so anything that we've made on the channel, which is basically going to be everything for the 1880s, because I started 1880s after I started the channel, so most of this stuff, actually I think all of it is going to be on the channel already, so I'll just link to those videos below and you can watch them if you want to see more information about a particular garment. Also, a lot of the things are packed away because we are in the process of hopefully moving, so I don't have access to get really good pictures of all the articles I'm talking about, so I'm going to do what pictures I already have and then link the videos. So if you want to see things in better light or actually being worn, I would go watch the videos if you're interested in a particular garment. This is actually probably going to be a really quick video because I don't have a lot for the 1880s because it's not my favorite time period. I do it like once a year, and so I don't have a lot of things, which is a good thing. Like, I don't need a whole lot of stuff for it. So let's start with footwear. If you watch any of these videos, you know my footwear situation with stockings. I have a ton of stockings. Stockings don't really change much in the 19th century, so I can use basically any of them. So I have 4 pair of white cotton stockings. I have 2 pair of color cotton stockings. I have 2 pairs of white clocked silk stockings, and then 2 pairs of black silk stockings, a pair of lightweight wool stockings, and then my 2 pairs of heavyweight wool stockings, which don't fit in my boots. Those I wear at nighttime when it's super cold outside and I need something to keep my feet warm. That's what those are for. I would like to have a second pair of the lighter wool stockings. I just have to figure out where I purchased those from because those are actually very nice. For garters, I have several garters that I have remade on the channel. So they're my little elastic garters. Actually just got back from an event, so I have a pair right here. Yeah, little elastic garters about 1 inch wide. They have these little metal bits that fit in, and this is how they're worn. I prefer to wear my garters below the knee, which both are period correct. Like, you can do above the knee or below the knee. It kind of depends on your body shape and where there's like a little con curve where the garters will fit without sliding down. That for me happens to be right below my knee. Health books in the 19th century do recommend above the knee if at all possible, but it just doesn't work for my particular body shape, so I do wear mine below the knee, which again is still period correct. You still see some women with garters below the knee, but health books recommend above the knee if possible, essentially. But yeah, this is what most of them look like. These are my favorite pair, actually, but I have several striped pairs. Yeah, but they all kind of look the same. And then for boots, I have a cheap pair of Amazon boots that have the correct toe and the correct heel, and they're the correct style. They're lace up. I don't think they're for sale anymore, but you can probably find something similar. It's the later Victorian style, so what people think of Victorian boots generally works. I have an unfortunate habit of walking on the outsides of my feet, and all that means is I don't like spending $200, $300 on a pair of shoes that are going to last me like 3 wears before I wear out the sides of the leather. So I tend to buy cheaper shoes that look right, that they may not be the best materials, but the shape's right, in the toe, the heel, the height's right, the shaping of the front of the boot is right. As long as the shape is right and all the parts are correct, I don't mind too much about materials. Would I prefer to have real shoes? Yes. Unfortunately, due to my particular body and how I tend to walk, it's not worth it. So that's what I have for boots. I also have a pair of heeled slippers, essentially, that are my 1865 through 1880s evening shoes. I dyed those on the channel, so I'll link that below. I've been mulling around in the idea of getting a white pair and just not dyeing them, so like having a white pair. I don't know if I use them enough for that to really, be a smart move on my part. I think white would look good with a lot more articles of dress, but I think black suffices for now. And that's it for footwear. Now we'll head into underwear, starting with chemises. So I have two chemises that I have. They pedal sleeves. The style is seen in the very, very late 1860s, all the way through the 1870s, and at least through 1883. So I consider them appropriate for this time period. Maybe slightly outdated, but if I made them in 63, they would potentially last 1 to 2 years more before I wore them out, essentially. So I could basically say I can wear them at least till 85. So I consider that good for this time period. And I also technically have two pairs of combinations, which I hate, but I do have them and I have worn them as needed. I don't do this time period enough to warrant any other base undergarments. So my chemises work for earlier time periods, and then my combinations also work for the 1870s and for the 1880s, but I don't like them. I just have them just in case I need them. I also, something I need to add to the wardrobe is I don't have drawers for this time period. I need a set of 1870s to 1880s drawers. I personally hate wearing drawers, but this is the time period where it's really hard to get away with not wearing them. And so the combinations work for that, but I do need a separate pair of drawers to wear with the chemises. I'm thinking one will do me. I don't think I will need more than that, just because I have the combinations if needed, and I generally only do 1 to 2 day events, so I think one pair will do for now, but that's something I'm going to have to put on the schedule next year. Corsets, I have a linen corset that we made on the channel a couple years ago. It's still in good condition. A couple bones have started to poke out. I've been mending those as that happens. It's a really pretty corset. I mean, it's that brownish, mouse brownish color, embroidered with green, flossed in green. It's just a really pretty corset. The only thing is that there's only about 1/2 inch to 1 inch gap in the back now because I've lost a little bit of weight, which is a good thing, but also I need to cut it down and make it actually a wider. I prefer the gap in my corset to be more on the 4 to 5 inch range. And so 1 inch is kind of pushing it for me. I think actually in the waist it does meet, so it definitely does need to be taken in a little bit. I've also noticed that the grommets in the back have started to rust just a little bit. I think it got wet at some point. So if I just cut up the back, because it's still pretty even, the shape is still really, it works for my body. So if I just cut the grommets off on either side, put the bones back in, put the new grommets in, then it should work really well. So fixing that corset may be on our to-do list at some point as well. And then petticoats. So I have a plain machine sewn under petticoat. Works really well for most of the 19th century, or at least post 1850. Later half of the 19th century, I suppose. I have an embroidered one as well. It's really a little bit earlier. I haven't seen that for the 1880s. I put it on there, but I don't think I really ever use it. It's also on display, or under a display dress at a museum right now, so wouldn't have access to it anyway. And then I have a wool flannel petticoat for winter. My skirt support for this particular time period is my giant lobster tail bustle that is stuffed with horsehair, or horsehair, it's imitation horsehair. But there's a couple of the reeds that are coming out. I do need to mend those. I think I noticed 2 of them. Really easy fix. It'll take me like 5 minutes. So next time I go to an event, that's just gonna be on my list of things to do. That's just gonna be on my list of things to do. It's still wearable, and it hasn't been bothering me because I have the petticoats and the chemise on underneath, so it's not like it's poking me or anything. It just needs to be fixed before it becomes a bigger issue, essentially. And then I have 2 petticoats that can go over that. So I have my regular white bustle petticoat that goes over the bustle, and then I also have a wool petticoat that I use for working class because when you're around a fire a lot, wool's a really good fabric to have underneath. So I have both of those options. For nightwear, I have 2 1860s or 1850s and 1860s night dresses. The only difference between an 1870s and 1880s night dress and an 1860s night dress is that in the 1860s ones, the collars lay flat, and in the 1880s and 1870s, the collar is a standing one. That's 15 minutes worth of handwork to just switch that collar off. It's really easy. It's just bound, so I just take the binding off, cut it, the whole collar would come off. I could put a little standing collar, and then that's literally 15 minutes worth of work, and I can make the same night dresses work for either time period. I haven't needed a night dress for this particular time period yet. And I don't think it's worth me making a new one if all I have to do is 15 minutes of handwork to switch the ones I already have back and forth between the two eras. So I think just leaving just as my 1860s nightgown and then changing out the collar if I ever needed one for this time period. Which again, 15 minutes worth of handwork, 15 minutes to change it back to 1860s after I'm done. I think it's worth it to not have to make an entire night dress. And each of those night dresses do have a matching cap as well, or nightcap. So I have my Canton flannel one, which is like super heavy and it's really warm. It's really great for winter. It's the one I wear most often because if I'm going to wear a night dress, it's going to be cold. Otherwise, I just wear a chemise to bed generally. So if I'm going to wear a night dress, it's generally going to be that one. I also have a lighter tucked one that if it's just a little bit chilly outside, I'll wear that one because it's longer and it has longer sleeves. So it is a little bit warmer, but I rarely find myself in need of that one. Usually it's either chemise or the Canton flannel one because that one's really nice and warm. And now for dresses. I do not have many dresses. I have the brown twilled cotton dress that we made on the channel, copying an original in my collection. That's probably my go-to dress for most of the 1880s. I wear that one most often. The other, I also have a cotton house dress or a wrapper type thing. It's Marna Davis's K pattern. Made that on the channel too. That's my go-to, again, wrapper, house dress, that type of thing. I do not have a wool dress for this time period. I haven't found I needed one, and I don't think I need one. And then I have a silk dress. So it's a green underskirt, and then I have a evening/ball bodice and trained over skirt. I also have fabric. It's a sheer silk window pane that was yellow, and I didn't like the yellow, so I dyed it pink. It's actually this really beautiful kind of a dusty, it's not really dusty rose, it's somewhere between bubblegum pink and dusty rose. It's on that lighter shade of pink. And I have a little bit more of the green silk voile that I made the skirt from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an overskirt of the pink silk, and then I'm going to probably make two bodices. So I'm thinking a dinner bodice and a day bodice if I can phase it. If nothing else, I'll just make the day bodice, it'll be fine. So I'll have two completely different looks for that one silk skirt, which is really nice. I like the 1880s, at least for their adjustability in that part. Maybe in a few years I'll find myself in need of something like a Mother Hubbard or something, but I don't think so. I think what I have now is good. One silk skirt with a variety of looks, one cotton house dress, one cotton day dress that's nicer, it has like lace on it. I think we're doing pretty well with that. Now for headwear. I have one bonnet. It is a velvet bonnet. It's black and it's trimmed with white and like red cherries. I call it my Mary Poppins bonnet because it reminds me of Mary Poppins. It just does. All right. I don't know what ties are on it now. I think they're green ties. I had red ties on it. I either had green ties and switched them out for red ties, or I had red ties and switched them out to green ties. I don't remember. Anyway, that's the bonnet I have right now. I also have supplies to make a spangled bonnet for this time period. I have all the things I need. I just actually have to sit down and do it. So I'll do that at some point in time. I just haven't needed a straw bonnet, but that'll be on the to-do list. Another thing I would like to do is make a sunbonnet. I don't particularly have need of sunbonnet at this time period, but Marna Davis has a pattern copied from one of her originals that has sawtooth or Van Dyke or Prairie Point edging on it. And that just happens to be my favorite trim treatment ever. I've done a whole 1830s dress trimmed like that. And do I really need an 1880 sunbonnet? No, but apparently, and I don't really like sunbonnets in the time period either, but apparently the way to get me to make a garment that I don't particularly want is to put my favorite trim on it. So I kind of want that bonnet now. For outerwear, as always, I have several shawls that work for this time period. Most of them are reproduction. I do have an original shawl from this time period. It's a very nice, thick, like a paisley shawl essentially, that none of the fringe was left, so I added new fringe to it, new wool fringe. But yeah, it's a lovely little piece, and that's specific for this time period, so I have that. That's great. I used to have a lot more shawls. I did take some of them out, and they're going to be for children's wear now. What I will likely need at some point, because when I do 1880s like once a year, it's generally in December. Texas in December can be 90 degrees, it can be 100 degrees. It can also be 20 or 30 degrees. I haven't needed a winter coat or anything like super outerwear, but it would probably be a good thing to add, and at some point I will need that if I continue to do 1880s in winter. So I'm thinking some sort of jacket, coat, knitted, crocheted, even sewn, I don't really care. I also do have an original black silk cape from this time period that would be nice to copy, so maybe we can do that at some point as well. It wouldn't be super warm, but it would be a little bit warmer than, say, just not having anything at all. And then before we go, I'm going to go ahead and share with you my spreadsheet from the 1883 to 1886 time frame. There's a lot of red and yellow for this era, more than I thought there was going to be. I thought I was a little bit more better off in this time period than apparently I am. A yellow means that I have the supplies or that the project has started. I just need to sit down and actually do it. Red means I need to purchase something, so those are lower on the priority list than the yellows, because if I already have the things, why can't I just convince myself to sit down and do the thing, right? I know in the past I've done things like a project busting series where I'd take like 3 1850s bonnets and I'd be like, okay, all of these need to be retrimmed, but it wasn't enough to make a single video on their own, so I just put them together and called it like project busting or something. Maybe I need to consider doing something more like that, like with a lot of the yellow stuff that I have going on now. So like do a bonnet one or do a fixing something one, because I'm sure I could find something throughout several time periods where it's like, okay, I just need to get all this done. But yeah, on the spreadsheet, green means good to go, and blue means that it's on display at a museum or like under a garment at a museum to help you with the shaping of things, because undergarments are important. They're not just layers. Each layer is super important and gets the shape right. So I use a lot of my reproduction stuff under museum pieces just to help them. So there are definitely some things that we can get to in the next couple years to help flesh out this wardrobe a little bit more. But that's about it for today. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe to the channel, click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.